Alrighty, we're going to get into how to round numbers in math. And the strategy we're going to use here is using a mini number line to help you see how the rounding works. And it'll help you visualize rounding. And we're going to do tens, rounding to the nearest 10, 100, thousands, 10,000s, and even get into decimals like ones and tenths and hundreds a little bit later. And I made these practice papers for my class of 4th grade, but if you would like the same paper for yourself and you're not in my class, I'll put a link to this document so you can print one of your own. But I think this is a really good strategy to see how rounding works. So here we go. So let's start by rounding the nearest 10. And the first thing we can do is just make sure we're looking at the tens place when we do these. And then we can make our mini number line. So if I were to do 543, I would put 540 on one end and 550 on the other end. We're going by tens. And now the question is, what number is exactly in the middle of those two numbers? And it's going to be 545. So where would 543 fit here? It would be right about there, which means we would round this to 540 to the nearest 10. Rounded to the nearest 10, that is 540. Let's look at this one. And again, nearest 10. So I'll have 90 on one end, and then 10 more is 100. What number is between those? That would be 95. And 97 is right about there, which means I'm going to round it up to 100. And let's see. Why don't you try that next one on your own? Even if you have all these digits, 3,458, it still works the same way. So 3,400, I'm going to start with this here, 50. And then 10 more would be 3,460. What number is between those? It is 3,455. 58 goes right about there. So to round that, I would round it there. Okay, so that's how that works. You just make your own little mini number line. Now, we'll do some to the nearest 100. So just be aware, we're now looking at the hundreds place in each of these numbers. And we'll take a look here, 613. And we'll keep with the 600. So you start with the same number, 600. And you're now going by hundreds. So you go to 700. What is in the middle? 650 is in the middle. Where is 613? It would be right there. So that would round to 600. Let's take a look at this one. 2,955. So 2,900 is where we start. Same as what's there. And we're going by hundreds. So over here will be 3,000. Now what number is between those two? 2,950 is right between. And this number here falls right about there. So we would round that up. And then over here, I think the second one there you can do on your own. But if we're looking at this one, I kind of threw in this just to show you that number doesn't matter when you're rounding to the hundreds at least. We'll get into more decimals later, but this is going to be, you just start with those same numbers, 53,400. That 4 stays over there. Over here, we have 53,100 more 500. And in the middle, what is in the middle of those two? 53,450. Now where does this number fall? It's going to be pretty close to that spot, so it rounds up. And just a couple more to the nearest 1,000. And I probably should have given this 4 digits, so let me just throw a random number in there. Okay. And now, if I take a look at this, thousands place is there. And I'm going to start there, 5,000. And then that would go to 6,000. So what number is between those two? 5,000 and 6,000. Between that, we have 5,500. And we round that one up. And for this next one too, looks like you're going to go 5,000 and 6,000 and see where that one rounds as well. And let's do one more 10,000s now, and then we'll get into looking at some decimal numbers. So 10,000s place is going to be there and there. So over here, I will start here with 50,000, and then 10,000 more is 60,000. So the question is, what number is halfway between those? And it's going to be 55,000, right in the middle of those two. This number falls right around there, so we round that up to the 60,000. And then if we take a look at over here, again, that is where we start. 340,000 is where we would start with this one. And then 10,000 more, 350,000. And what number is halfway between? 345,000 is exactly between those. 345,000. 132 would fall just slightly to the right of that. So that means I'm going to round it up. And now we're rounding to the nearest 1. So 4 7/10. We've got 4 on one side, and we've got 5 on the other side. And what is halfway between those? The answer is 4.5, or 4 5/10. 4 7/10 would fit right about there, right? So that would round up to 5. And same thing here. We're looking at the ones place. So the ones place is here. So I'm going to have 63 and 64. And halfway between 63 and 64 is 63 5/10, or 63.5. or 63.5, and that is about right there, 63 and almost 3/10. So this one we round back down to 63. And let's look at the nearest 10th. So now let's just highlight the tenths so we can remember what place it is. That's the tens place. So we're going to have 4 tenths on one side, and we have 5 tenths on the next side. And what would be halfway between those? It'd be 0.45, or 45 hundredths. And that's going to fall over there, so we'd round that up. Here, again, still looking at tenths. 82 8/10 on one side, and 82 9/10 on the other side. Right in the middle, we've got that, and 82 89 hundredths is going to have us round it that way. And let's see. I think the next two, just try those on your own. This is probably the more challenging part when we get into decimals. Just remember to mark your tens place first, and then you'll start with that. So I'm going to start this one with 5 3/10. And I'll start this one with simply 8/10. And then add one more tenth and figure out what the middle is, and just go for those on your own. And now, last one, nearest hundredth. The 100th place is going to be there and there. So for this one, we'll start with 13/100ths, and we'll go towards 14/100ths. And what is halfway between those? It's 139 thousandths. And this one is clearly closer there, so we round that to 14/100ths. And this last one here, just remember you're always starting with that place value. And just real quick, if you want to add this extra 0 here to make it easier for you, when you're dealing with hundredths, that doesn't change anything. That's the same value as having just tenths there. So if that makes it easier for you, you can do that as well. But this is just a nice way to see how rounding works visually. And it might take a little bit of practice, but I'll maybe give you some more practice of this later. But thank you for watching, and goodbye.